Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. This is a whole bag of expired 120 film that I feel like I've been saving up forever. I think it's finally time to shoot some of this today. Some old Provia Portra 800. Ooh. Portra 160 MC. Wow, that is dusty. I'm in this very industrial part of Brooklyn today, and it's an area that I've always wanted to explore a little bit more, especially during the daytime. I think it looks really beautiful in this kind of golden light. And the nice thing is that if you come here on a Saturday, like today, it does happen to be 4th of July, but any Saturday, it's totally empty. There's nobody out here. As you may have seen from the intro, I have a couple different films with me, but I think I'm gonna start with this Fuji 400 MPH because it's one of the lower ISO films that I have with me. One thing I love doing is just driving out to a new location like this area in Brooklyn that I haven't explored much yet, and I usually just park my car and then from there just kind of walk for a long time, and I end up seeing a lot of new things that way that I wouldn't have seen if I was just driving around. As you can tell, it literally has been weeks since I shot anything because there was an old roll in here. 6'9"? 6'7". Haha. Came across kind of this nice sign bridge in the background, kind of like the golden light just at the top, so snapped a couple photos there. I'm almost done with the Fuji NP 400H, but still working on it, so after that I think I'll switch out to an 800 speed film. So I just finished up the first roll of Fuji NPH. This was an ISO 400 roll, but I decided to rate it at 100 since it's a couple years expired, and I figured a little overexposure couldn't hurt. So now that the light is getting a little bit lower and we're getting kind of that nice gradient there, I'm gonna switch to 800, and it is a roll of Portra 800 that expired in 2002. There's the Portra 800. I'm gonna probably rate this at something like 320 ISO, I'm thinking. So I figured we'd take a look at some of the results together, and I can share some thoughts on the two different film stocks that I shot. So the first one was Fuji 400 NPH, and I'm just gonna go through some of my favorite photos and kind of talk about some of the colors that we got and what the images look like. So this first one was of this truck, and you can see there's already quite a strong color cast. Like the blues in this are very interesting. They look pretty faded. And overall it's really nice and saturated. I did do a little bit of touching up in Lightroom, but not much, just a little bit of correction. This next one I took because I liked the little bit of interaction between the barbed wire and the writing. And again, I think aside from maybe some of the blues, which do look kind of grainy, the photo looks nice, and I actually like sort of this overexposed look over here. Here's a nice image, and you can tell that although the sky was super bright, the dynamic range actually holds up quite well. You can see all the detail in the clouds over here, and there's kind of a nice red cast to the image that I kind of like. This right here is probably one of my favorite images from the day. I really like the layers with the pole and kind of the storefront and then the bridge in the background. And again, really faded blue looking colors, but then on the other hand, the oranges and especially the reds in the building over here are super saturated, and I really like the look of that. As for the detail, it is a little bit of a grainier photo, and I think that's probably just due to the film being expired. Let's move on to the next roll, which was Portra 800, and this was expired in 2002, so I rated this at, I think it was 320 ISO. I took a couple photos of this bridge on this roll, and again, I like the layering of this, but this definitely has a much stronger sort of orange yellowish color cast compared to the Fuji film. You can definitely see in the shadows too, there's not a lot of detail, and there is a really strong red color cast. This was one of my favorite shots from the roll of Portra 800. I just like the tires. Again, not a ton of dynamic range in this because you can see there's very little detail in the tires. Maybe I underexposed a little because of the aging of the film, but the highlights are still kind of blown out in the truck, so the dynamic range of this older film stock is definitely a little bit more limited. Overall though, I really still like the colors and the way it sort of transitions from these highlights to shadows. That's pretty much it for my thoughts on the film. As you can tell, I'm not at home right now. I'm on a cross-country road trip with my girlfriend, Allison, and there will be some videos on that in the future. For now, I do want to say thank you to the sponsor of this video, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an incredible online website building platform that you can use to build your photography portfolio online. I've been using Squarespace for over 3 years at this point, and they're incredibly customizable templates and online customer support have made it so easy for me to get an online portfolio up and running. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can hit the link in my description for a 14-day free trial of Squarespace, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/willem for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You can follow my Instagram in the description. That's it for now. Peace.